Hello, friends, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about Josephus versus the Gospels. And if you've been to my channel before, you know exactly which side I'm gonna come down on. Yep, that's right, Josephus. Let's go. The Gospels were not written by eyewitnesses, neither do they purport themselves to be written by eyewitnesses. The only one who had a chance to be an eyewitness who is in the canon is Paul. And Paul says he was not an eyewitness, that he got everything from visions. So, my question is this. Why do Christians insist on getting their information from books that were written at a later date than Jesus supposedly lived, and even in a different place than Jesus lived? Unlike the anonymous gospel authors, Josephus lived during the apostolic age and in the region in which this supposedly happened. However, the church fathers ignore Josephus' works, except Eusebius in brief in church history, 324 CE. Within the so-called apostolic writings, numerous contradictions can be found, more contradictions than we should allow for any documents claiming legitimate historical authority. However, we find within the writings of Josephus a coherence in narrative that is lacking in the Gospels. The Gospel writers have also falsified Old Testament quotations, whereas Josephus remains faithful to the original Hebrew. The evangelists also misinterpret and misapply Scripture. However, I will stick to facts, not beliefs. There are also discrepancies between Gospels, which should raise serious trust issues, but for some reason, for the Christians, it doesn't. These discrepancies are not altogether surprising, though, because these accounts are based on hearsay. On the other hand, Josephus obtained his information from records and eyewitnesses. At the very least, he would have been familiar with Jesus' younger contemporaries and also the younger apostles. He should have also witnessed Christian churches sprouting up in the area and been aware of the great deeds they performed, yet he records none of this. Although it is unreasonable to expect historical accuracy from authors who wrote years after the supposed events took place, and on hearsay to boot, we should not assume that the Gospels are altogether fictitious. They had to have had some kernel of truth, claims my source, else they wouldn't have lasted very long. For example, Luke's express goal is only to give a statement of events that reinforces the beliefs that Theophilus and others already ascribed to. By Josephus, who writes to give a true picture of that place in those times, and not to support any theological or philosophical stance. Luke's purpose was to support a creed, whereas Josephus wrote down history. Thus, we come to an agreement on general statements between Josephus and the evangelists, despite discrepancies in historical details and religious statements. For example, we see in Antiquities 4, sections 1 and 2, that Josephus partially agrees with the evangelists. According to him, Pilate involves himself in the death, not crucifixion, of an unnamed religious fanatic, not Jesus, with no political aspirations. That is, the man never claimed kingship, thus threatening Rome. This puts it out of the purview of Rome. Josephus writes that Pilate did involve himself in the murder of a prophet, something religious that Rome itself was not interested in. Yet, why didn't he mention the mighty works of this prophet, or the joyful hosannas? And even more, why bother with this unnamed prophet who really didn't have much of an effect on anything, and yet leave out Jesus, who supposedly founded a religious sect? Pilate only served as procurator of Judea for 10 years, 26 to 36 CE. Is it possible that two deluded fanatics, one who also claimed kingship and mighty deeds, and established a new religious sect, were killed by him? Moreover, the one with mighty deeds not getting so much as a peep from the Jews, while the unnamed religious fanatic provoked an appeal to the Roman emperor. This argument, however, is one from silence, and as such is not compelling. Demonstrating the probability that Christian documents are based on those of Josephus is a much stronger argument that the evangelists took their material from Josephus. It is apparent that at this time the so-called apostolic writings did not exist, and therefore the Christian church had not formed. Given that the Gospels are not eyewitness accounts, then, we should not be surprised that they got chronology wrong. One chronological mistake, as well as a contradiction, has to do with John the Baptist. He was supposedly put in prison because he rebuked Herod for marrying Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. By the way, this is factually incorrect. Herod the Tetrarch had traveled to Rome, staying at his half-brother Herod's house, not Philip's house. He then fell in love with Herodias, who was married to Herod, the half-brother of Herod the Tetrarch, and not Philip. Now that this fact has been straightened out, let's look at chronology. Herod planned on divorcing Aretas' daughter to marry Herodias, and this culminated in war. Herod wrote to Tiberius, who ordered Vitellius to make war on Aretas, but before he could carry out these orders, Tiberius was dead. Obviously, then, these events took place at the same time as Pontius Pilate was being relieved from duty because before Pilate reached Rome, Tiberius was dead. Herod carried out his plan to divorce Aretas' daughter in the last 2 years of Pilate's procuratorship. Herod's killing of John the Baptist, then, must necessarily have taken place in the last days of Pilate's government. According to the Gospels, Jesus' crucifixion happened after these events. Therefore, it stands to reason that the unnamed prophet whom Pilate killed was not Jesus. Furthermore, Christians generally accept that Jesus' public ministry lasted 3 years, beginning with his baptism. Guess who supposedly baptized him? That's right, John the Baptist. So just think about this. Herod divorced Aretas' daughter at about the same time Pilate went to Rome, being relieved from his duties. It wasn't until after Herod divorced Aretas' daughter that he married Herodias. That means that John the Baptist was still alive at this time. So just think about this for a moment. Herod divorced Aretas' daughter so he could marry Herodias. And this happened about the same time that Pontius Pilate was called to Rome and relieved of his duties. Since Herod's killing of John the Baptist coincides with Pilate's recall to Rome, the Bible is incorrect in stating that Pilate was over Jesus' trial. Well, friends, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, press the subscribe button, and if you want to know when I come out with new content, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. All social media links are in the description, along with the link to my Teespring store. Please leave comments in the comment section. Not only do I love hearing from you, but it also triggers the YouTube algorithm. Why don't you leave a like while you're down there also? Keep learning and searching for truth. Here are a few videos from my library. If you have not watched them yet, go ahead and watch them and tell me what you think. Until next time, friends, stay safe and goodbye.